I'm the sports professor, Rick Horrow. Welcome to Beyond the Scoreboard, Inside the Mega Events. It's a trillion-dollar sports business, to be sure, and about 50 to 60% of those dollars are wrapped up in the mega events, the championships, Super Bowls, All-Star Games, World Series, Wimbledon, tennis majors, golf majors, NASCAR championships, IndyCar championships, Ryder Cup. All of those too numerous to mention. I'm in my office to kick off the show, but I'm not here a lot. I'll be on the road on a weekly basis to bring you the inside tips from those major events. The balance sheets, who wins, who loses, the interviews, how you put on the events, and how you sustain them. This is all brought to you by Edelman Financial.
Money doesn't come with instructions. That's why we created Edelman Financial Services to help you with everything from college and retirement planning to managing your investments, helping you achieve retirement security. We're among the nation's top financial advisors. Come see how we can help you.
Rick Horrow, sports professor, live at mega events, our Facebook look at all of the big-time events all over the country. What you just saw is the warm-up for the end of the Indy Racing Series for this year. Race, I think it's 17, at the Sonoma Raceway. Sonoma Raceway. We just finished a press conference. We'll talk about it a little bit too. But the facts about the Indy Racing organization is pretty significant. Led by Mark Miles and the Indy Motorsports folks, they are stepping in the right direction. Television viewership up, a new contract with NBC next year, and they're looking at consolidating the tracks. This will be one of the, if not the last race at Sonoma, but they're staying in California, and they're expanding their world to larger tracks. They've got some sponsorship challenges, they've got some branding challenges, but compared to where open-wheel racing in the United States was a few years ago, it is leaps and bounds improving, and that's the important issue. So we're here before the Sunday race, and one of the significant things that happened, and again, one of the reasons for the press conference today, we had an announcement that is the hallmark of sports philanthropy, a deal between Group 1001 and its CEO, Dan Towers, who was here today at the press conference, and Brian Cooley, who you meet in a second, the president of Everfi Sports and Entertainment, and Zach Veach, who is one of the up-and-coming drivers on the Indy circuit, driving for Andretti Autosport. They decided to create a new nationwide STEM education program in schools. Brian will tell you about it, but it's the perspective of sports education philanthropy. Nowhere better to talk about this at the mega event at Sonoma. Brian Cooley, president of Everfi Sports Entertainment. How are you?
I'm doing well, Rick. Good to be here with the professor.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I know you could have had hundreds of other places to go, but here's where the free food is, so thank you for coming to Sonoma. First time at the Sonoma track. What's your impression of this place?
So, I mean, the excitement here is incredible. Obviously, we got a big race coming up on Sunday. Awesome announcement today. We'll tell you more about that in terms of what we're doing with Zach Veach and Group 1001 and Andretti Autosport. But it's focused on STEM. But today's really about bringing a group of students to the track to help them understand future STEM careers and hopefully inspire them. They're going to have an opportunity to meet Zach Veach. They're going to have an opportunity to walk the pits to really see the excitement that happens here at an IndyCar race, and it's going to be a phenomenal day today.
So let's talk a little bit about the specifics of the program. Zach is the first one ever to participate, first auto racer ever to participate in this
Correct.
program.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so Everfi, very quickly, we're a digital education company. We're based in Washington, D.C., and really our mission is to be able to provide critical skill opportunities for students all over the country, all over North America, actually. And so we focus on topics like financial education and STEM education, health and wellness, mental wellness, many topics that are seldomly taught in schools. And so our goal with this particular program is to inspire kids to think about what's possible when they focus on math and science, and to really think about how they can develop a pathway to become an engineer, to become a doctor, to become a coder, to become perhaps somebody who works in auto sports industry, whether they be a driver, whether they be a mechanic, an engineer, any of those related skills.
And so you've had experience in general financial education. That's where Everfi started. Talk a little bit more about the company broadly.
Absolutely. So our company is about 10 and a half years old, and so we've been very fortunate. We are venture backed, and we're backed by some of the most innovative folks in Silicon Valley and beyond. Folks like Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett is another investor of our company.
Pretty significant
Texas
name.
Pacific Group. And so really folks who've built incredible networks, and that's really how we think about ourselves. We're an education network. our goal is to really surround teachers, support school districts with the skills that can help to inspire kids to be to have really interesting career opportunities, to be healthier, to be safer, to be more financially capable. And so really the nexus of private and public is what our company focuses on.
And it used to be, back in the not too recent days, where philanthropy you needed to do good, to influence politicians, but ROI and return on investment was always separate. The interesting part about your world is that there really is a merger between philanthropy and business, and there's a way for corporations to really get a benefit out of the programs you offer. Talk about it.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Rick. So I think the idea of corporate social responsibility is not necessarily a new one. However, we've provided a channel, if you will, for companies to get directly involved in education innovation. And frankly, what could be more important than investing in the schools, in our teachers, in our students, in our communities, helping them think about what could be possible in their lives. And so really for us, the goal is to use innovative learning technologies, gamified learning environments. So think of us as a video game manufacturer, producer that does that for education. So we experientially bring kids to the floor of the stock exchange. We help them understand what it's like to actually be an engineer, what it's like to be a coder, so that they can develop those pathways. And so along the way, we've been incredibly fortunate. We have about 4,500 partners, some of the biggest organizations in the world.
Like?
Organizations, many of them including the NFL, Major League Baseball, the National Hockey League, where we're partnering with individual athletes like Charles Barkley, Alex Ovechkin, entertainers like Pharrell Williams, Pitbull, many others, Allen Houston, and then in addition to that, also working with Walmart and Target, many Fortune 500 companies, about 700 banks and credit unions as well.
And so the genesis, again, was teaching finance or teaching about money to schools that didn't necessarily have a sports theme. Then there was the transition. You came in, President of Sports Entertainment. So I remember when I was in school, the classes, not surprising, classes I wanted to get out of are things you could be proven right or wrong at, chemistry, math, and all. You're making that fun.
Absolutely. That's the goal. And so our company did start with financial education 10 years ago, and the real goal there was to really bring that skill, the idea of financial capability, in versus needs, and then progressively to help arm them for the critical stages in their life. So as they contemplate going to college, learning about filling out a FAFSA form, learning about income taxes, learning about planning 401k savings plans, things like that. And so from there, we've gotten into many different areas. In fact, what is really exciting about Everfi today is we're in the process of launching anti-bullying courses with the Navy SEAL Foundation right now. We're launching a mental wellness course. Prescription drug safety is another thing that we're taking on. And we're doing this with partners, and the net of it is about 8 million students per year are actually going through these courses and really benefiting from that and hopefully figuring out a way to be successful in their pursuits in life.
And so as you do business deals, which is interesting philanthropically, it's not just a tell us what your foundations are and we'll spend some money that you know you got to spend somewhere. It's let's plan a deal together with maximum impact. Example, Summer Slugger and Major League Baseball. Talk about that.
Absolutely. So one of the really interesting things about the school year is that obviously there's a lot of summertime off, and so students are out of school for 8, 9, 10 weeks. And unfortunately for most students in the United States, that means very little or no learning. And so students' skills are actually receding. And so one of the things that we decided to do, along with Major League Baseball and Minor League Baseball, is design a course called Summer Slugger. And so really what it is focused on is enrichment for math and reading during the summer. So every day students actually have exercises to engage in, and they all relate to the game of baseball. So it's incredibly fun for students. It's a great way for them to learn more about the game, and it's a great way for them actually to keep those skills sharp. So talk about Zach again, just to kind of close this off. He is a marvelous kid. He's got a prolific future as a driver. He's bright, he's mathematically oriented, he is Indy related, so there's a crossroads between math and engineering and the Indy 500 and Indy racing as well. I just named a couple of synergies, but why Zach? So Zach is, first of all, an incredible young athlete. His story is fascinating. His journey actually started in the classroom, started with a deep interest in engineering and in STEM topics. And obviously he had a vision to get involved in auto racing, and he's certainly a person who's got an incredible amount of perseverance. He's very, very focused, and he is a phenomenal role model for students today. He's a young athlete who essentially charted a course. Education was a big, big part of it, and it still continues to be. And I think he's an incredible role model for kids who are thinking about STEM careers, whether that be in the auto racing field or many other technology fields.
Let's talk about Everfi broadly defined. Scalability question, which is what the business people ask. So where's Everfi in 5 years?
So right now we're incredibly fortunate. We're in 25,000 schools across the U.S. and Canada. We absolutely are thinking about ways that we can go yet further into more schools and more communities. We're also looking at global expansion. So thinking about Western Europe, thinking about expansion into, we're currently in the process of expanding into Puerto Rico. And so the goal for us is where students are, that's where we want to be. And so obviously the fuel for us is being able to partner with great companies who have a vision around CSR and who want to give back locally in their communities. And so it's the best time in the world to be running a business like this and to be focusing on this kind of social impact. So to your question, I think we want to be in 50,000 schools in 5 years. We want to be taking on yet more topics. And the idea is we want to be able to really surround communities, especially those in need, and inspire kids to think that anything really is possible.
And the one thing about Brian Cooley is his large, ever-expanding computer brain is cluttered with lists of people on all aspects of leagues and teams and others that we should have this opportunity with. Brian, thank you very much for being involved in this, and continue your good work.
Thank you so much, Rick. Really appreciate it.
So just to conclude, the one thing that's really important to take away from all of this too is that 80% of the fastest growing careers out there for anybody rely in some significant way on STEM, science, education, technology, mathematics, and all of that really important for the future of sports and for the future of kids and education. Everfi is on the cutting edge. Broadly defined here, this is a showcase for a lot of things. It's a showcase for corporate sponsorship, it's a showcase for raw athleticism, it's a showcase for an ever-expanding and a few years ago contracting business, but it's also a showcase of synergies and how you can do good. And clearly this is an example of doing great by doing good, but it's also part of a larger context of sports and the power of sports as we move ahead. Rick Horrow, see you next week.